Hi guys, I hope you're all well. Long time no speak. I just haven't made a video. There's not really any excuse. I thought today I would do a video about my ME/chronic fatigue syndrome because it's something I get so many questions about and I've been promising it for so long, so I'm just gonna get on with it. I'm filming this on my SLR today and not my little point and shoot, so I really hope that I'm in focus and you can hear me because otherwise it's going to be very annoying because this is now my third time filming this video, so fingers crossed that we get a take. So I think I've got the focus down now, so fingers crossed because I can't see what I'm filming. So I'm going to start with my diagnosis. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue at the age of 14 when I had started my GCSEs. I just felt extremely tired all the time. I couldn't concentrate very well and I just didn't feel like I could keep up with my studies. I did take on a lot of subject and was kind of across the board like doing well and just sort of felt like I really couldn't keep up. I've always suffered from like joint aches and pains and like just dodgy joints and bones in general, but this felt like super exasperated, if that's the word. And yeah, so I went back and forwards to the doctors, I think about 6 or 7 times, and after numerous blood tests they finally came to the conclusion that I might have ME. The way they diagnose ME is by basically ruling out everything else, so they tested for anemia and diabetes and thyroid conditions, but luckily all came back negative and so did all the other nasty things, and basically it's a process of elimination and the only thing left was chronic fatigue syndrome. So yeah, I've had it for about 10 years now, I'm pretty used to it. It's not necessarily degenerative, so it doesn't get worse. I know some people have it in really varying levels. I, touch wood, am quite lucky in the sense I can manage most things in life. There are days I have to say sort of no, and there are days when I'm out, but you know, as in like in bed, can't move, can't do anything. But for the most part, I'm pretty good with it, I think. In terms of symptoms, as I mentioned before, it's mostly obviously extreme fatigue, non-restorative sleep, muscle aches and pains, pins and needles. Whereas you get lack of concentration. So yeah, there are quite a few like different things that might point to it. Also, I'm really sorry if you can hear snuffling. Pepe has had an operation and he's got his cone on and he's just wandering around my feet, so he keeps just sniffling and trying to get up. Finally, there are no medications you can take for it. You can't be prescribed anything. It's basically about managing it rather than medicating it. So it's kind of sort of untreated per se. They did recommend I do meditation and mindfulness, but again, you know, that varies on you. Personally, I don't really find that they help. I think I'm a bit too chaotic to find sitting still beneficial. So now on to ways I manage it. This is something that most people have asked me. Basically, you know, obviously you can Google what the actual technical term for the illness is and all the surrounding, but actually management and how people literally do deal with it is the thing I think people find really hard. First of all is a lot of people have asked about my work and how I manage working, and I'm just going to say I'm self-employed, so thank God I've kind of managed to carve out a career in which I am my own manager and I work as and when I can. Obviously, as I said before, there are days and weeks where I am completely overworked and so unwell afterwards as a result of it, but I've kind of got to a stage now where I know how far I can push myself before I have like a big dip and a big crash. So yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's the best case scenario. If you do have ME or chronic fatigue, I believe if you are recognised by King's College Hospital as having it, then you are entitled to some form of disability benefit. I'm not entirely sure about this. I was told by a nurse that I could be entitled, or I was entitled to some kind of benefit, but thankfully I don't actually rely on that. So yeah, it's definitely worth, if you do feel like you're in a position where you can't work, then it's definitely worth looking into seeing if you can receive any help. Next up is sleep, and I'm just going to mention quickly that none of this is an ad. I was kindly gifted an amazing mattress by Simba, and I thought this was the perfect video to mention it and chat about it because obviously it's all about sleep. So sleep in itself is something I find really hard. I struggle to get to sleep and I struggle to stay asleep, and my sleep is non-restorative when I finally do get to sleep, meaning that I can sleep for 12 hours and wake up the next day just as tired as I went to bed. And let me tell you, it is the most frustrating and depressing thing ever. It's so hard to deal with and you do get used to it, but at the same time it's just debilitating. So when Simba offered me a mattress, obviously I jumped at the chance because I spend a hell of a lot of time in my bed whether or not I want to. So as you'll see, I'm perched on it now. It comes rolled up super tight in a box, which is amazing because I live on a 3rd floor flat in pretty much central London, so it's not ideal to be trying to wangle a mattress up the stairs, especially when you're moving. So yes, the delivery man dropped it off, walked it up my stairs for me, and then I had the pleasure of unwrapping it. Stupidly forgot to film it because I was just quite excited to get into it, to be honest, but it's so much fun. It basically comes out rolled up, you snip down one side and it puffs open to be like big but flat, and then when you open the actual bag you literally watch it rise. It's so cool. So anyway, I have been sleeping on that for about 2 months now, so number 1, would recommend. Number 2, obviously it's not specifically aimed at anyone with any kind of illness, but I would just all round recommend it to anyone. It's super comfortable, it's almost like a memory foam squishy feeling, and yeah, for someone who spends a lot of time in bed and has to be comfortable when in bed, because they also have back problems, yeah, it's amazing. So as I said, this isn't paid for, but it is a godsend pretty much. Simba have kindly also given me a £75 off code to give to you guys, so I will pop it on the screen and also in the description box with a link if you would like to buy one. I'm not sure what more I can say on it other than, I mean, you kind of have to try it for yourself, but 10 out of 10 do recommend for someone who's very sleepy. So yes, let me know if you do pick one up, or if you've already got one, or if you've been thinking about trying one, because it'd be cool to hear other people's opinions. My boyfriend loves it as well and he really wants one, but sod. Also, on the subject of sleep, I also use a sleep spray, which again, luckily Simba sent me in this cute little pack. So anything with kind of lavender and whatever else, I'll link a few of my favourites in the description box for you, but totally recommend it. It just scents your room lovely and it just gives you, I don't know, that smell now reminds me of going to bed and going to sleep. So even if I need a nap in the day, if I spray that, in my mind it's kind of bedtime. I also have to have complete darkness when I sleep and as little sound as possible. So if I'm somewhere noisy, I will sleep with earplugs in, and I tend to sleep with an eye mask if I'm on my own or if I'm somewhere that doesn't have blackout blinds. Luckily in my flat I do. I am quite near a main road though, so it is kind of busy, which is frustrating, but it kind of is what it is and we've accepted it. Next in terms of management is I know that I'm better in the summer. The light and the sun obviously it really helps. It tops your body up with vitamin D, and I just find that everything in general is better in the summer. So I try to plan anything big for the year in the summer, or at least in the spring, so that I know I'll be capable. And yeah, I just try and make the most of getting up early and sort of getting earlier nights and sort of, yeah, functioning a bit better on actual light. That being said, you can get lights which emulate sunlight, so I'll pop a few in the description box. I don't actually have one, but I am going to get one this winter, I think, because I also think most people suffer with a little bit of seasonal affective disorder and they can really help with that as well. I also have lots of Himalayan salt in my room. I don't know if it's scientifically proven, but I know a lot of people recommend having it for like better quality of sleep and like a clear mind. So I've got like candle holders about, and yeah, it is real salt, which is really weird. I made my friend lick it because it's salt. Next up is pretty much just like rest and pacing yourself. You really have to learn your own body and know what you're capable of and know when not to push yourself too far. I'm absolutely notorious for doing too much, and my mum and my boyfriend and everyone tell me off because basically I will push and push and push until I'm unwell. So I know I can go maybe 3-4 busy days before I will crash, and a crash for me, or what I call it, is essentially a day in bed, a day where I feel wholly useless, my entire body feels heavy and it hurts, and yeah, I'm just drowsy as hell. So they're obviously not fun days to have. So I do try and pace myself and live my life in a way that I'm not going to have too many of those days pop up. So yeah, my top tips for dealing with ME or your diagnosis is: number 1, get a good comfy mattress. As I mentioned, I've got a £75 code for this Simba one. Absolutely thoroughly recommend. You are going to be spending a lot of time in bed, so make sure you're comfortable and it's supporting you when you do. Same with bedding, have nice breathable cotton bedding so you don't get hot and sweaty. Basically avoid anything that's going to wake you up at night. Number 2 is have a clear space for your room. Try and keep work very separate, sort of clear space, clear mind kind of idea. Number 3 is learn your limits, know your body, you know, realise when enough's enough and don't overdo it. You know, I am number 1 worst person for keep saying yes to everything because I'm scared of missing out and I hate the thought of you know, I like to be, well, I'm normal and I can do it just as well as you can, but the reality is you do have a disability and you do have to take a step back and just kind of relax and, you know, whatever else. Finally, a bit of a lengthy point, but don't ever be afraid to tell people what it is that you're coping with, because I know a lot of people don't understand ME, and I've dealt with it for years and years and years, of people being like, yeah, you're just tired, oh, I get tired too, or, you know, oh, your arms and legs hurt, oh, you know, and I cannot tell you how frustrating it is when you feel like absolute shit and you are literally being laughed at, essentially. I've had it in a work environment, I've had it with friends, I've had it with family, and it is really shit, and I know that above anything can be really depressing. So I think learning to speak out about it, and I will tell anyone, you know, I've been on first dates before and dropped it in. It doesn't faze me per se, like I will absolutely say it, and if someone's like, oh yeah, you know, you're tired, I'll be like, well no actually, and I'll correct them. And whether or not they want to take it on board and whether or not they learn, then so be it, that's them being a shitty person. But for the most part, I think people do try and understand now, and slowly it's getting more recognised, and you know, it is an invisible illness, and touch wood, it's nothing, you know, there are a lot worse out there, but at the same time you do want to be heard and you do want to have it understood. So yeah, I just totally recommend speaking out about it. Don't ever be sort of afraid of it, and if anyone does want to put you down, try and level with them and explain it to them, and if they're still not having it, then just tell them to piss off, to be honest. That's kind of how I go with it. So yeah, I hope that was somewhat informative or useful or something. I've really struggled to actually get this into like one cohesive video. As I said, this is my third time filming it. So let me know if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Obviously you can pop them in the comments or pop me an email, which is also in the description box. I'll also put the £75 off code in the description box, as well as any links I've said I'll mention and some of my favourite sleepy things. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed or something, and my next video should be a haul. So the usual service will resume very soon. So thanks for watching guys, have a good day, bye.